infringe on the Constitution. So, you know, those things all lined up, and I looked at it objectively with all the information and talking about it and looking at it for 3 years. I came to a different conclusion this year and decided that that's what the people wanted, because it had shifted from 2 years ago to what it is now, and so many other people want no smoking, and they want it banned. And so we're representatives of the people, and that's what the Constitution says, and that's what the deciding factor for me was to actually come down on what the people wanted, and it has the right, and it gives us the right and actually the duty in the Michigan Constitution to protect public health. And so I went that way.
It's interesting how the public will shift on that, because
Yeah.
several years ago I think the public sentiment might have been a little different.
Yeah, it was.
And as they learn more and read more and kind of get their viewpoints set in stone, then it kind of comes up to those of you who are representing
This isn't
them.
an easy job. You know, you really take that stuff to heart and you try to take all the information you have and make the best decision with the information you have at the time. The information had changed from 2 years ago, and so I made a different came to a different conclusion, decided, you know, this is what the people want, and we should do that. And as representatives, not about us.
Not only have you been on the porches like we were talking about,
Yeah.
but you've been talking with those business owners. And what kind of obstacles does a business owner face these days here in Michigan to try to keep moving forward and handle all the adjustments of this changing and ever competitive economy?
Yeah, Kendall, it's really, really tough. It's not just about within Michigan borders, not even within the continental United States. It's within, you know, now it's a global economy. And we are a huge manufacturer-based state, and so our competition came from off our shores. And we've suffered because of that competition, and a lot of it is I believe that we're not a business-friendly state. The same model we had for years might have worked when we were just competing with other businesses in our state. But now that we're doing that globally, there are a lot of different issues, whether it be the price, you know, hourly workforce, the education of the workforce. All of those are factors that business owners have to look at, and their bottom line is getting their price down, with the quality of the product that they're producing to be the best that it can be and better than the others, and then turning around and being able to advertise and sell that product. It's a lot tougher today, and I think in Michigan government, you know, the model we had for the last 30 years was pretty good, but now that the manufacturing base has been really crushed in Michigan, we got to change the rules. We got to change the tax structure. We got to get rid of the, you know, I used to have I had a saying that jobs first, jobs now, and I mean when I said that, you know, last year in telling people that and talking to people. My plan was simple. The first thing we have to do is get rid of the business tax surcharge, that 22% tax that we put on individual businesses that other states don't do. And so right off the top, they got to, you know, take that 22% tax and put it in the price of their bottom line product, because they have to pay it. And so it makes them less competitive. So that's not good for business owners. And then we have other rules and regulations that are a lot higher than the federal standards on a lot of different issues. I think we should go down to the federal standards, and we shouldn't really go above the federal standards, because all that regulation, red tape, and cost, not only does someone have to fill out all the forms to send to the state, but what do we do with the information once we have it? I mean, really, what do we do? And, you know, there might be some reason for doing a lot of it, whether it be tax things, but I think in the tax system we should make it a lot simpler. We have to, everybody knows, and what I did learn talking to all those people, and we hit over 150,000 doors in that election, so in talking to the people, everybody, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, you understand the answer is jobs. Everybody just wants jobs, because if they have a job, they can take care of their family. And in doing so, they're paying state taxes, which helps take care of the feeding the government that, you know, and the services that we need to provide to the public. And so everybody knows on both sides the answer is jobs, and so everybody knows that we have to help job providers. And the way you do that is cut the red tape, cut the regulations, make it easier, fill out less forms, and lower their taxes. So that if we took that 22% surcharge off of them, well, they could then decide what they're going to do with that 22% money now that they have. They can either invest in their business, let it grow, they can lower the price of their product, they can hire someone, or they can buy new equipment in their plant and in their factories that allows them to be more efficient and effective and produce a better product.
Plus, getting rid of that would eliminate a lot of uncertainty. I think what's really hurting the investment community and our job providers is that constant nagging sense of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And one thing government can do is try to get out of the way and provide a little more certainty for these folks as they try to move
people look
forward.
at Michigan, they're like, well, they don't even know what kind of taxes. You're talking about changing the taxes again. What are our tax obligations going to be? And, you know, they don't know, but they go to another state and they know exactly what it is, so they can make a decision. And they can't wait around, so we got to try to do this probably in the next year, in a year and a half, and get the business owners in Michigan together with the legislators and with a lot of other folks, you know, the different associations to work out a good tax system that's fair, work with Treasury, and come up with a fair system that might not produce as much money, but will allow business owners to keep more money. And we in Michigan government, the other thing of my Jobs First, Jobs Now plan, Michigan government's got to shrink. We don't have the $30 an hour jobs where people are working in the auto factories. You know, a lot of those have closed. They almost went bankrupt. They've scaled down way back, and plus the new people they're hiring are getting hired at $15 an hour. And if you have a job, and a lot of people don't have a job, so we got about half the revenue we once had like 4 or 5 years ago will be coming into the state over the next year and a half, I believe. And so we have to cut government almost, I don't want to say totally in half, but really close. We have to get back to the bare bones. We have to get back to the basics of providing core government services, which is police, fire, sewer, water, roads, education, and small social safety net. All those other programs we've accumulated over the last 30 years when we had those dollars coming in, we have to eliminate them. I'm sorry, they're nice programs. They help a lot of people, I'm sure, but we don't have the money to sustain that anymore, and we can't keep taxing people. I can tell you this. The last day before the election in November, one guy hit me up as I was going around just hanging a little sign telling people, please go vote. No matter who you vote for, go vote. And so a guy grabbed me in his driveway and said, Mike, just promise me one thing. I said, what's that, sir? And he says, I don't have any more money. Please don't take any more money from me. I don't have any more. I'm barely making my payments. And this was not in a low-income area. This was in a pretty affluent, you know, area where people are struggling to keep their, you know, in their homes because everybody's property values have decreased. You can't sell the house to get out from under the obligation, and you don't want to foreclose and or go to bankruptcy because that hurts your credit score and your way of life for the next 5 to 10 years until you build it back up. And so he says, please, I'm just barely holding on here. Don't take any more of my money. I don't have it. You talk the same thing with business owners. Mike, I am putting a lot of things on my personal credit card to keep my door open for my business because I don't want to lay these 3 or 4 people off that are working for me. And I want to be able to keep them employed as we work together through this because I would feel terrible and I want this business to continue because it's been in my family for years. But I'm barely hanging on. You cannot take any more money from me. I don't have any more. And so that's what we got to deal with. We got to face that reality. Everybody calls it a structural deficit, but we just got to face the facts and go back to those basics of core government services, police, fire, sewer, water, roads, obviously corrections in there with police, and education and a small social safety net. And we just got to fund those and fund those well and quit taking people's money, actually give more money back to them, especially in the first wave of businesses, give their money back in that 22% surcharge. And we got to live within our means like everybody else is. And we know it's going to be a tough year for the budget next year because we're actually going to have to face it. We don't have a lot of, President Obama and Congress sent us a lot of money this last 2 years, which didn't make us make the tough decisions. And we got to make the tough decisions. And it's not going to be fun, not going to be easy, but people told me, are you tough enough on their doorstep to be able to make those tough decisions? And I told them, yes, I was. And so it's going to be hard, and I'm not going to raise taxes, and I am going to have the state live within its means. We need to change the business climate. We need to become more business friendly. We need to cut those taxes for businesses so they can start employing people. And then we have to promote the good products that we produce here in Michigan and let everybody around the world know that we have a good workforce, a well-educated workforce, keep our education funding up, and because you got to have good, solid, informed, well-trained workers. So we have to invest in our workers and keep those going. But those 4 things will help turn Michigan around, and I think that's what these people sent me up to do.
It's such an interesting clash of philosophies. Here we are a decade into the new century, and yet we still have a mindset among some folks, both in Lansing and out, that we can tax and spend our way out of this problem. And the people are telling you on the porches, you know, you can't do this anymore, and yet there's this throwback to this viewpoint from the 1960s, maybe the 1970s, that we just keep taxing and taxing and expanding and expanding, and that philosophy is really hard to kill among some folks.
I'll give you some examples. I mean, you know, they've talked up a period when I was a state rep, you know, about let's charge more for your garbage so we can do this program, or let's tax bottled water so we can save this program, and let's do this, It's all about taxing people more, and people just don't have any more money. I don't care if you're a business or an individual, so where do you go? And you just can't keep squeezing these people because the next thing they're going to do, they're going to leave Michigan. A lot of people have, and that doesn't help Michigan at all. And we are a great state, and we want to continue to be a great state, but we have to make a mid-course correction, a big left turn or a right turn, to be able to, can't keep going in the same direction we're going. We have got to change things. This government has to live within its means.